So here's a question. What's really holding you back? Most people think it's a lack of motivation, confidence, or even discipline. But in my experience, that's not the real issue at all. What's really holding you back is something far more subtle, far more powerful, and often completely outside of your awareness. And that's your inner critic. Now, when I say inner critic, most people think of negative self-talk, that voice in your head that says you're not good enough, or you'll fail, or you shouldn't even try. But the inner critic is much more than that. It's not just a voice. It's a system. It's a part of your psyche that was formed very early in your life, and it has one primary job. And that job is not your happiness, it's not your success, and it's certainly not your growth. Its job is to keep you safe, and more importantly, to keep you familiar. And here's the problem. Familiar does not mean comfortable. Familiar can be painful, it can be limiting, it can be even self-sabotaging, but it is known. And the unconscious mind prioritizes what is known over what is possible. So even when you consciously want to change, even when you say, I want a different life, I want more confidence, I want better relationships, there's another part of you operating beneath the surface that is saying, no, stay where you are. This is what we know. This is what kept us safe before. And because this process is unconscious, you don't see it happening. You just experience the outcome. You procrastinate, you overthink, you over-detail, you people-please, you avoid, you sabotage opportunities. And then you tell yourself a story about why. You might say, well, I'm just not confident, or I'm not ready, or this just isn't the right time. But those are surface explanations. Underneath that is a much deeper structure, what we might call your life script, a set of beliefs, childhood decisions and emotional patterns that were formed when you were young, often in response to your environment, your caregivers, your parents, and the messages you received about who you needed to be in order to belong. As a child, you didn't have the luxury of choice. You adapted. You made decisions like, I'm not good enough. I'm not important. I must please others. I must not be too much. I must not fail. And those decisions became beliefs. And those beliefs became the lens through which you interpret your life. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. The unconscious mind does not operate with any clear sense of time. It doesn't say, that was then and this is now. Those early experiences are not neatly filed away in the past. They are alive in the present, and they are not date stamped. So when something happens in your life today, a challenge, a rejection, an opportunity, your response is not just about what's happening now. It's being filtered through your life script, through those early life decisions and beliefs you have about yourself. So you're not just responding as the adult you are today. You're responding as the child who first learned what it meant to feel unsafe, unseen, or simply not enough. And the inner critic sits right at the center of this system. It reinforces those beliefs. It keeps the script in place. It tells you, you don't try, don't risk, don't change, because if you do, something bad will happen. You'll be rejected, you'll fail, you'll lose connection. And from a psychological perspective, this makes complete sense, because as a child, losing connection with parents felt like losing everything. So the inner critic developed as a protective mechanism. But here's the reality. Once protected, what protected you is now limiting you. The very system that helped you survive as a child is now stopping you from growing. And until you bring this process into awareness, you will continue to repeat the same patterns, the same relationships, the same emotional cycles, wondering why nothing changes. So the question is not what's wrong with you. The question is what part of you is running the show. Is it the adult part of you that wants growth, change, and fulfillment? Or is it the unconscious system, the inner critic, that is trying to keep everything same and familiar? Real change begins when you start to notice this, when you begin to separate from that voice, when you're recognizing that just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. And more importantly, it doesn't mean it belongs to who you are today. Because much of what you believe about yourself was decided a long time ago in a very different context by a much younger version of you who was simply trying to cope. So if you feel stuck, if you feel like you're going round in circles, if you know there's something more for you but you can't seem to quite access it, it's not because you're broken, and it's not because you're incapable. It's because there is a part of you that is trying to keep you safe by keeping you the same. And the work we do in therapy is about bringing that part into awareness, understanding it, not fighting it, and then gently beginning to update the system so that you are no longer living from your past, but consciously choosing your future. Because once you see the inner critic for what it is, not the truth, but a protective pattern, you begin to loosen its grip. And that's where real change begins. If you'd like help updating the beliefs you have about who you are, visit my website, book a free discovery call. Let's see what's possible.